Hi, and welcome to the FIH Edition Hockey Men's World Cup show. Joining me on the show today is Richard Smith, a Great Britain Olympian and England international player. Richard, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So, Richard, what has been your first take on the Men's World Cup so far?
What's my first take? Back in India, back in kind of warm, very well supported conditions. You can see teams are kind of getting going kind of with these first opening games, finding their rhythm. In general, pretty high tempo of game at the moment. But I think you can also see sides are kind of settling in to the tournament. And we're seeing some close games now in some of these second games in the group stages. So yeah, it's always nice to see these opening games, but then also keen to kind of see as it heats up and the pressure comes with these later games.
Yeah, indeed. So speaking about teams settling in, we saw the opening games for sure. There were no surprises there. The teams that were ranked higher, they won the games. It was as one would expect it to go. We were hoping for some upsets, but in the first game, those were yet to come. But going into the second game of the tournament, and with the tournament structure the way it is, the second game is also really important because it's almost like setting you up for moving day in your final game of the pool stages, and seeing results, indeed close results. You mentioned Germany, Belgium drawing, Australia and Argentina drawing, brings a little bit of the excitement and making things a little bit close for comfort. What was your impression of, let's start with that Australian Argentina result. Australia started the tournament looking really good. I think everybody would have put them down as their favorites after that first game performance.
Yeah.
And Argentina picking it up in the second game.
Yeah. I think so these teams, they've had some practice over the last months, but also like real competition matches like this, the chance to play against each other. I think they'll probably be quite pleased that they've got other top teams in their pools that they get to practice against in these games. And then it is a test, right, of it's down to such small differences in these types of games for how the momentum of the game swings. So you could see that in the game yesterday with Australia Argentina, the momentum kind of went one way then the other. And actually then for Argentina to take the lead, go 3-2 ahead, and then Australia need to come back from that. So yeah, of course, these sides, they would like to be winning these games, but also now with Germany and Belgium and it ending up a draw. Okay, a draw is not a loss, so that's good and sets them up, as you say, still for that last game. But it's also great kind of practice for the next games when it goes to the knockout games, to have these really tight games that flow one way or the other. And I guess the coaches will be looking at these kind of details and things that are happening in the game, and how can we shift it more and more in our direction in these tight games. So yeah.
And speaking about like coaches looking at how to shift things, you also saw New Zealand making a really interesting tactical change quite early in the game with taking their game against the Netherlands, taking their keeper off in the first quarter.
Yeah. I recently moved house, and actually yesterday I took a day off and I was doing some painting, but I was like distracted by the hockey, and then I kind of looked up and saw what was happening with taking the keeper off so early. And it's like, I guess this is where coaches and teams, they want to try these things. They're like, how can we do something different that might shift the game in our favor? And yeah, that was fascinating. And like, yeah, I can understand if you want to try to get back 1-1 and you can change the momentum in the game, then yeah, it was really interesting to see they tried that.
Yeah, I guess it's high risk, high reward, or in their case, no reward at all. But we spoke. New Zealand made a tactical decision. Australia, we didn't see a clear tactical decision in a change in the game plan. But these are two teams that have come into this tournament with not much international experience in the last 2 years due to circumstances. So looking at these two teams, I think game 2 in the tournament indeed is the opportunity for for you to trial different things. I don't think that it affects New Zealand too much in that, you know, a loss was a loss. So of course you want to take that risk and see if it works in your favor, and at least going into this next phase you have an idea of whether that tactical change works or not.
Exactly. As you say, I think it's who you try it against, and you know, with the Dutch, with their speed of counter-attack, there was always a danger there, and the quality of their technical skill if they do get those chances. So it didn't work out on this occasion, but I think it's a nice one to be trying.
And looking forward into the next phase of the tournament, we go into the final pool games. We know that in each pool it's a slightly different circumstance. So if you look at Pool B and Pool D, you've got teams at the top of the pool on 4 points, and then third place has got 3 points. So this is pretty much, both these pools are still really, the going through as number one in the pool is up for grabs for those 3 teams. What do you think the mindset would be for that final game? Because you're kind of playing for the big reward of getting an extra rest day.
I think it's nice that it's still on the line for these teams, like where you finish. So then you can go into this game just giving your all and just trying to get the best result you can. So, you know, England, India, Spain, like they're going into those games with it really matters that they push for the best result they can. And that's the way you need to be preparing for those later games as well. So like you just keep practicing the right mentality, I would think, that you go into those games. And there's a bit of pressure on. So I think they'll be pleased that that's true. And then it keeps you focused on getting the outcome that you're after as well.
So indeed, a more play it safe approach, do what works, stick to your game plan, stick to your tactic, and don't make too many drastic changes because you want to go into the next phase with a lot of confidence.
But then also not too safe. I think it's getting the balance right. I would say in these games.
And then looking at Pool A and Pool C, you've got a real fight for the top spot. So, but having said that, we know that the Netherlands will play Chile and Australia will play South Africa. So the teams topping those pools at the moment will play the teams on 0 points. Unless we see some really big surprises and upsets, we can expect the Netherlands and Australia to top those pools respectively.
And they're going to be switched on, of course. World Cup only comes around every few years, right? So they'll be very switched on.
Indeed. Your dog has an opinion about that. No worries. But so Chile will go into their final pool game against the Netherlands. Of course, this is going to be a tough ask for them, and we expect no surprises. But what is your impression been of the Chilean team? They've come out and they've actually done pretty well. Great to see. And I think we sort of sensed that might be the case, that they could come and cause a bit of an upset. And they are almost doing that, improving that. So, a shame they couldn't hold on and get something out of the game yesterday. I've been enjoying Rick's commentary quite a few of the games, and I think it was him or somebody saying that they were needing to sit back a bit, but it didn't actually kind of suit the way they like to play. So again, it's coming to these tournaments and having these challenges where how you play in certain periods and the impact it has. But sort of actually maybe if they kept attacking, would that have worked out better for them to keep pushing? But it's nice to see their attacking style and what they're doing. And they individually also holding their own, for a team coming into this tournament with probably the least experience compared to the other teams that they're playing against. They really have dared to play, which I think has been quite inspirational to see. And then looking at the South African men, I think that they'll be really disappointed with their results against France. but now everything is on the line, and it is a big ask to go out and play Australia after having to travel as well. So Australia and South Africa have had a travel day, a rest day, and then we'll need to face each other. Do you think that the travel day and the rest day will impact performance on either of the teams?
Yeah, I think it's bound to some degree, but again, I think probably the mindset needs to win over in this situation. I'm sure it will for these big games that they have. Yeah, as you say, we'll be very disappointed with the result, and would have been targeting that game against France, and it's going to be tough, of course, against the Australian side.
Yeah, but no, you've played against Australia on numerous occasions. You've played with some of these Australian internationals as well. What do you think South Africa would need to do, knowing the Australians a lot better? What do you think the South Africans would need to do to try and get a result in the game?
I think you can't play too safe. You can't play. I think you still need to take it to an Australian side, because there's opportunities there, and you have to kind of believe. And I think the South African side, they will, because they've done that numerous times the last couple of years, the results and how they've played the last couple of years. So they'll have that confidence that they can make things happen. Looking back to the Olympics, so I think they have to go with that approach still. Just take it to the Australian side, see if they can upset things, see if they can upset the flow of the game. So I would say they need to still go at it with confidence.
Yeah, indeed. But we've seen that the attack has been their strength, and their defensive disciplines have maybe let them down. So you can't afford to also take that chance with your defensive disciplines.
Yeah.
Against a team with the quality that Australia have. I mean, they've got an amazing penalty corner, and then they've got infield players scoring also. Their strikers.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think it's the South African style, it seems, the last couple of years have been defending well, defending resolutely, and having that counter-attack opportunity. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be looking at that and trying to do that even better than they have the last games, and counter with that real kind of bang and attack. Yeah,
indeed. And then going into England, they have a big game against Spain, and I'm sure that they would want to win the game to finish off top of that pool. But like we identified, Spain are on 3 points, England are on 4 points. You've also got India on 4 points. So you would need a really good performance. Spain also have got a fast counter-attack, some handy and speedy players up front, but England do as well. How do you think England are going to approach this game?
Yeah, I think what I've liked from what I've seen from England in the last 6 months, year, is kind of consistency. So there's been a consistency, like with the energy and the intensity that they're playing at, and that's shown in this last game against India. And then the way they approached the first game against Wales as well. So they'll be looking to do the same thing today. Against Spain. And so if they have that intensity in the way they play, I'm quite confident. Then at least they'll be consistent, and they'll hopefully get the result they're looking for. So I think they'll be looking to do more of the same, and I think they're just focusing on finding that consistency every time they play at the moment.
Yeah. And which players have impressed you the most?
I think it's there's a few players. So you've got kind of some of the guys that have come into the team and look settled very quickly. I think Nick Park and Stuart Rushmere kind of look settled in the team. And then you've got guys that have been there a bit longer that now showing that experience and that control. But the thing now with the England team is that there's attacks coming from lots of different places, lots of threats coming from different places. So they focus on countering with intensity, and kind of it's not one person that's providing that threat. And it's all over the place. And I think that's key for all of the teams, of course, in this World Cup, that you need to be able to provide that threat from multiple places. And I think the teams that can do that best will probably end up prevailing during the World Cup.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we know that we've spoken about it before in previous shows, the dynamic between Great Britain and England. And of course, you have then Wales and Scotland coming into the mix when they then become the Great Britain team. How important is this tournament for some of the players individually as well, to show themselves, knowing that on the back end of this tournament, you're going to go into the GB phase of building up to the Olympic Games?
Yeah, of course it's important. I don't think the guys will be thinking about that too much. I think they'll be very focused on kind of here and now and the World Cup. And of course, the English guys, most of the English guys are in the fortunate position of being involved in that kind of Great Britain setup as well. So they know they have that chance to consistently show it. But yeah, of course, it will be in the back of their minds that if they play really well here, then it's going to put a marker down for them. It's going to help their case that they can perform in a major tournament in this setting. So I don't think it'll be sort of front of mind, but kind of back of mind for the guys. As you mentioned, there's a couple of the Welsh players, and on the other side, guys that are in the Welsh setup that want to kind of be making a claim there, and a couple of very strong players in the Welsh team that I played with back at my club in London before I moved across to the Netherlands. So they'll be also trying to show themselves at this level.
Yeah. Indeed, it is a really interesting setup, and I'm looking forward to also watch it unfold as we progress, not only in this tournament, but post the World Cup as well. But Richard, we've seen a lot of goals scored so far. We've had 63 goals in this tournament, 19 penalty corner goals. Normally, I think in men's hockey, you would see a closer setup between the number of PC goals and the number of field goals, but also really exciting to see more field goals coming to play. What is your take on that? Do you think that the strikers have improved the way that they are just attacking the goal, or do you think defenders have gotten poorer at doing their job?
Yeah, from what I've seen, I think it's also a lot about the tactics that are being played. I'm noticing there's a lot more half courts. There's kind of a lot more like lower zones being played in general, as far as I can tell, to try and open up that space to be able to counter-attack into, and kind of trying to set up those turnover moments. And then it's about kind of attacking with that intensity. And you see the Dutch are doing it, the Australians do it, attack with that real intensity to make the most of that opportunity. And it's a lot of the strikers that are looking sharp and have improved, and people are taking their chances in general at the moment, I've noticed. So I think, there's a shift on trying to really create those open play opportunities, and people are taking them. On the flip side, of course, we've known about penalty corners for years now, and a lot of time and attention is going into penalty corner defense and really making it hard for the attacking teams. And I think, that's really showing. And it's only the real top flickers or the top teams that are able to execute those moves, corner moves, that are kind of being able to score corners at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. I quite like that there's more field goals in the game. I think it definitely makes it more exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
And you also see more players shine on the big stage, whereas in the past you saw so many goals dominated by the penalty corner specialists, and now you actually you open up the floor, and it just gives more players the opportunity to step up and also just to show what they got and really shine.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice that the game might be decided by an open play, a goal or two, or as opposed to just corners being the only way that the goals are being scored. So,
and it definitely changes the way teams, in terms of their tactical play, also attack, where in the past you would attack with a real focus of forcing the penalty corner. So sometimes entered the circle with a little bit more of a inhibiting factor in the way you attacked. You were searching for the penalty corner instead of searching for the goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
And now you've seen that change in the way strikers really go with intent of scoring a goal. And if they get a penalty corner, that's the sort of plan B and not just the plan A.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as we wrap up for today's show, having seen all the teams play 2 games, knowing what we have lined up for the final pool stages, who do you think will go through and raise the cup at the end of this tournament?
Yeah, I think what I love is that it's quite hard to say for this World Cup. I think in previous World Cups, kind of a couple of teams have come in and really been leading the way. So it's going to be really, really interesting in the later stages. I think, of course, Belgium will be there, Australia probably will be there. Like a lot of the teams that are doing well in the group stages are going to be in those later games. And it's really hard to give a indication.
Definitely.
Kind of,
you don't want to take a gamble on this one.
No, I think these tournaments are tough, right? In hot conditions. So who's going to last through the tournament in the best way? Who's avoiding picking up injuries to some of the main players or the strain on the team? And these things might make that small difference for who can get over the line. Who's maybe had more experience the last couple of years. So Argentina have actually played a lot of games, I think, the last couple of years. I've tried to do that. And the Belgians, the European sides. So they might have what it takes to get over the line through those games. But it's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the final pool games, hoping South Africa can throw in an upset, the upset of the tournament that we're all been hoping for. But having said that, I am really I'm really impressed with the team pools at the moment, and I'm also very interested to see how the men's World Cup will progress, where in the Women's World Cup we saw that this format really favored the teams that finished top of their pool. When you go into that, it's not quite a knockout phase, but when you go into the classification phase. So it'll be interesting to see how that also unfolds in the men's competition, knowing that there is a lot of close competition as it stands in the pool phase. So Richard, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. Hope that you've enjoyed it, and looking forward to perhaps seeing you again and chatting more things the Men's World Cup.
Cool.